Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Planning for Retirement. I'm your host, Scott Nelson, along with Elyse Azaris.
Hello.
I've got my flag tie on. We're just finishing up with the 4th of July weekend, and we're recording this just after the signing of President Trump's big, beautiful bill, so-called. We thought we would talk about some of the key points we've been able to glean and changes as they might affect people we work with in the retirement space. So
So just as a note, it's a big bill, and so I was doing my best to read through and try and skim sections that would be very useful information for our clientele base and for retirement world. And so there's been a few things. There's not a whole lot of changes for 65 and older, but one big thing just across the board for everyone, the standard deduction has been increased. So whether you're filing individually, joint, head of household, those have increased. So yay for that.
should make tax filing easier just because most people are just going to take the standard deduction and you won't need to go through the itemization process. A big disappointment, for me at least, is that the campaign promise of no tax on Social Security did not get passed. In fact, we're still trying to search through the 900 and some pages to see exactly what impact on Social Security taxation there even is, if any.
Yeah, so sorry to interrupt. So there is a huge part of the bill, I think, that everyone's talking about is the Medicaid portion of the bill. And so that would impact the Medicare aspect, so healthcare. And so there's just, it's hard to say exactly how that will affect, but it could affect those on Medicare in the low income subsidy. So it shouldn't, but it could potentially.
Yeah, my understanding on Medicaid specifically is that if there's an able-bodied adult without children in the home, that there will be a work requirement and potentially a premium as well for, again, able-bodied adults under age 65 to obtain Medicaid benefits. Now, Medicaid, this is Medicaid, the welfare piece, not Medicare, the health insurance piece for seniors. Don't know that there'll be a ton of effects just yet. We're still sifting through the...
Yeah, so that does not. So the the requirement for work, what it is they require 80 hours a month. And that could be either employment, it could be volunteer work, it could be in a training program. So it's 80 hours and you're working towards something. But that does not include 65 and older.
Yeah, age 65 and older, that doesn't apply. So I think for people needing Medicaid assistance, specifically for long-term care needs, that's not going to be a thing.
Yeah, so there, like anything else, there's exceptions to everything. But I think what they're trying to do is across the board limit, waste and fraud. And so they're going to have where you have to report monthly or quarterly, depending on what area for Medicaid. So they're just trying to have the whole database for that, report those Social Security numbers of those individuals who are receiving those benefits. So it's a good thing, but it's still there. The help is there for those who need it. And they just want to have you proving that you are trying to put in
that you're
work,
legally
that
here in the country
and
too.
you're legal.
Yeah.
So that was the big thing, and I think that's a big thing what people are talking about. Another note that I wrote down here, and this is for individuals who turn 65, so you're Medicare eligible for Part A, but let's say that you are still employed and you're still on a high deductible health plan. Before, when you did apply for Medicare, if you were on even just Part A, you weren't able to contribute to an HSA, so a health savings account. And so, but now, if you are still employed, you're still working, you have that high deductible health plan, you can do Part A, Medicare Part A, and you can still contribute to that HSA, which is awesome.
Yeah, no, this is a really big deal for people who are approaching retirement. They're closing in on the end of their journey and in their work career, but would like to put more tax advantage dollars into a health savings account. Thank goodness. This makes a lot of sense in my mind to go ahead and allow for Part A enrollment and participation in a group-sponsored health plan with a health savings account associated with it.
You can also roll over now your HFA, HRA, sorry, all these acronyms. Your HRA, you can now roll those monies, those unspent monies, into your HSA.
Yeah, so that HRAs kind of use it or lose it in the past. Now here's a way to put those to work in a very efficient, tax-effective vehicle that you can carry over into retirement later.
What's awesome about that is for these health savings accounts, it's tax-free for all medical purposes. So in retirement, when you are not working anymore, it's nice having that account as a tax-free vehicle for your medical needs.
And trust me, as you age, there will be plenty of need for money for medical purposes. Grandpa used to say retirement was the golden years, and then he would chuckle and say that's because it takes a lot of gold to live in those years. So here's a place to put it and have it be tax effective and set aside.
Or getting old ain't for the weak.
Well, he would actually say getting old ain't for sissies.
That's what it was.
Yeah, getting old ain't for sissies.
It ain't for sissies.
You got to be tough to get old.
I'm just looking at my other notes. There was so much to go through. So I was just looking, making sure we didn't miss anything here.
Some other highlights to applaud: the so-called Trump tax cuts. In other words, the current tax brackets that we've enjoyed since January 1st of 2018 that were set to expire December 31st, 2025 have been made permanent. So the 10%, 12%, 22%, 24%, 32, 35, 37, those brackets are now permanent. So that's a wonderful bit of news there. Some other things that I noticed as I went through a lot of the rhetoric and discussion points surrounding the big, beautiful bill, there were critics that were saying, oh, well, that's going to cause the deficit to become $3.3 trillion larger over a 10-year period of time.
That was a big issue that a lot of people had.
Well, okay, but let's stop and put some perspective to it. The deficit was nearly $3 trillion bigger at this time this year versus this time last year. So if we say 3.3 over 10 years, that seems like progress in a positive way to me. But again, 900 and some pages, we haven't read through all of it. So key takeaways: the current tax rates have become permanent.
Standard deduction.
Standard deduction has increased. The health savings accounts can still be used by people on Medicare Part A only if they're on a group-sponsored health plan with an HSA associated with it. Can still contribute to the HSA. The HRA, sometimes referred to as FRA, the use it or lose it for health care, if there's excess at the end of the year, can be rolled to an HSA, so it won't be lost. Big deal there. What'd I miss? The Social Security tax-free status did not get passed. in my opinion, the provisional income formula that's never been indexed for inflation, it's the same as it was when Reagan was president, still needs to be addressed. That's an unfair
They
punishment.
did increase that standard deduction, which would affect provisional income a bit, but not really.
Kind of, but
A little bit.
And the boost for people 65 and older was increased also.
Yes.
For those of you who weren't aware, at age 65, you get an additional standard deduction.
So that was increased as well.
So a lot of things that are still going to be ferreted out. No doubt we will have another episode soon to go over those additional findings as the
once
dust
we get a little
settles.
more in depth.
More clarification and so on. So love it or hate it, the big beautiful bill has been passed and signed into law. We'll try to keep you posted as much as possible so that you can make informed decisions. Because as we say, if you plan well, you can retire happy. Our job here is to help you do just that. If you do have questions about any of your retirement plans or outlook, would like a second opinion, we offer those for free. Please contact us at our office. We'd be happy to visit with you. Thanks.
Bye.